In a Belinque 48 Swanika Street here in Accra. We are live on Facebook at Pan-African Television. We are also live on YouTube at Pan-African Television. My name is Justice Appiah. Now to our top stories for this afternoon. Bishop Herman Senior High School records 19 cases of coronavirus. Now, journalists have been urged to move away from the fire service ambulance journalism and report appropriately on issues of child trafficking. Pressure mounts on President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to sack Honorable Ha Kumsin for firing gunshot at registration center. Later in business, Kofi Apalo assures Ghanaians of creating over 1 million jobs when elected as president. Details of these stories, including international sports and entertainment, will come your way for the next 1 hour. We're going for a short break. We'll be right back. Now, moving on to our very first story for this afternoon. Former Deputy Minister of Gender, Children and Social Protection, who doubles as the Member of Parliament for Kwando constituency, Honorable Delasoa, has disclosed that 19 cases of COVID-19 have been recorded at Bishop Herman Senior High School in the Volta region. Speaking on Pan-African Television's Constituency Connect show, she noted that the affected students are under quarantine and responding to treatment.
Yes, it's true. 19 students have tested positive at Bishop Herman Senior High School.
Following the recent
comeback to school for the exams, yes, 19 of them have tested positive.
Wow. Wow.
We are trying to keep the protocols, protect ourselves, but we are in strange times. So this is the unfortunate news that I have.
So what's happening to these 19 students that have tested positive? Are they still giving some special treatment as far as the WASI examination is ongoing?
Yes, definitely. They are being quarantined, protected, so that they don't have contact with the other students as well.
But has there been any, random testing or mass testing in the school, given the outbreak of these 19 persons that have contracted the disease?
Actually, it was the testing that brought out the 19 cases that tested positive.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure the EC is listening. Or I say the EC, the government is listening to the. But it's surprising how it's not really out there like that as compared to the Accra girls issue. I don't know if it's a deliberate attempt to just cover it and not let people know about it, or not let the media know about it, because personally I've not even heard about it.
I can't say whether it's a deliberate attempt not to let the media know, but Accra girls is in Accra, so getting information in Kwando.
Okay.
Yeah. I watched your documentary.
Right.
Of the documentary of your trip in the Volta region.
Right.
And it's the same in Kwando as well. People are very, very anxious to be registered. But it appears that EC hasn't sufficiently prepared. When I say that,
why do you say that?
I say they haven't sufficiently prepared because, like phase 1, we were told there are going to be 16 machines. And 16 polling stations were going to be used.
How many polling stations do you have at the coast?
76.
76 polling stations. And only 16 machines?
Yeah. But even then, we ended up having 8 machines.
Out of the 16
Out of the 16 promised. So phase 1 was only 8 machines. And the machines keep breaking down. They keep freezing. They have to restart them, delaying the process. So that has been the experience we've had. I believe some of the EC officials, not all of them, but some of them, the entry clerks, they are not very much on top of the door
of education.
I can't say that. I think maybe let me say that they are not on top of their work. So you find that they are entering data, the machine freezes, they have to restart it. People have queued, they are waiting to get onto the register. To be served. So that's the problem we are facing in the Kwando constituency.
Now, still on COVID-19 cases in the country. Now, let's give you an update of current, cases of COVID-19 in the country. Currently, the country have active cases of 28,989 cases of COVID-19. The recoveries are 25,331, and number of deaths stand at 153. Now, let me give you a regional breakdown of the cases of COVID-19 in the country. Greater Accra is leading with 15,519 cases. Ashanti region has 6,264 cases. Western region 2,310 cases. Central region 1,236 cases, and Eastern region also has 1,091 cases. Now, Ahafo region 116 cases, Bono region 421 cases, Bono East region 383 cases of COVID-19 have been registered over there. Now, let's go to the Northern region, which has 271 cases, Northeast region with 9 cases, Oti region 150 cases. Now let's go to the Savannah region also with 57 cases, Upper East 282 cases, Upper West 75 cases, Volta region with 522 cases, and Western North region with 283 cases. Now, Greater Accra region is leading with about 50% of the total cases that have been confirmed in the country. This is the update of the current situation of the country when it comes to COVID-19 cases and all of that. Away from that, the president of the Ghana Journalists Association, Roland Afro-Money, has advised journalists to be on top of their game while reporting on issues pertaining to human trafficking in the country. According to him, media professionals have to sharpen their focus on human trafficking until the canker is totally eradicated.
Speaking at the launch of the World Day Against Trafficking in Persons, Dr. Afil-Moni said the fight against child trafficking can only be achieved on a sustainable basis. He reiterates that human trafficking blatantly violates Article 15 of the 1992 Constitution. Dr. Afil-Moni said human trafficking does not only violate the article, but also disgrace human beings who are the immediate bearers of God. He urged the media not to only talk about child trafficking when it occurs, but also make it a point to sustain the conversation until the canker is eradicated. Dr. Afil-Moni lamented that sustainability is a key element in the fight against human trafficking. He tasked journalists as part of their mandate to name and shame perpetrators of such crimes in the society to help eradicate it.
Blatantly violates Article 15 of the 1992 Constitution, which says the dignity of all human beings shall be inviolable. So human trafficking does not only violate this constitutional provision, but also degrades human beings who are the image bearers of God. So if the media are to be effective in this fight, we should move away from fire service or ambulance journalism, which means we talk about human trafficking when it occurs. But we need to sustain the fight. Sustainability is a key element in this fight. So, whilst departing from the ambulance or fire service journalism, we need to sharpen our focus on human trafficking until it is consigned to the dustbin of history. Ghana is a reference point in standard measure when it comes to democracy, when it comes to human rights, when it comes to development in other dimensions. But the way the country is portrayed in the most negative circumstances, all the shine democracy and respect for human rights stand the risk of being diluted by human trafficking. So this is a charge the media need to keep, that this is a winnable war, and for us as a nation to win the fight against human trafficking, the fight should be fought on a sustainable basis. Indeed, it is like feeding a shark. We ought to liken the fight against human trafficking to feeding a shark. And when feeding a shark, we don't stop. Once you stop feeding the shark will eat you up. So, once again, it bears reiteration that the media have a godly, professional, ethical, and moral responsibility not only to intensify the fight against human trafficking, but also to ensure that we win this fight and win it so convincingly. It comes with education, of course. Victory against human trafficking will not be a half distance. It should come with education, educating the people to understand, to internalize the values of human beings, to understand that human trafficking is not only evil, it's not only criminal, it's not only ungodly, but also it's a drawback to our development. So education should go in tandem with the fight, and then exposure. But one of the greatest weapons the media world are the weapon of naming and shaming. So we should not spare those who are getting their duty to feed facts on human trafficking, but also to ensure that everybody who is involved is made to face the music. On this note, I thank the organizers for making part of this ceremony, and I pledge that from where we sit, we're going to reactivate our machinery as a media system to prioritize the fight against human trafficking. As has already been said, and it bears repeating, we are not in normal times. But when it comes to issues of topicality, nothing should overshadow the voter registration with all its acts of violence in certain places. But at the same time, we ought not to keep our eye off the paw of human trafficking. And I believe by always squeezing, talking about human trafficking, giving significant treatment to such stories.
Now let's go to the presidency, where pressure is being mounted on President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to relieve the Minister for Special Development Initiatives, Honorable Mavis Harkomsin, of her duties after she admitted firing a gunshot at a registration center in Kasua. Some Ghanaians called on the president to sack Mavis Harkomsin for holding a firearm at a registration center. Honorable Harkomsin said she had to take the decision to protect herself since she was not with her security detail at the time.
In an interview, she revealed that the firing of the gun was done by anyone in her team but herself. She added that the gunshot was a way of protecting herself at the registration center since her police escort had not started working that day. The MP indicated she went to the place because she heard her opponent had bussed people from other places to the registration center. Security expert Prof. Kwesi Enin joined the citizens calling for the dismissal of the MP. According to him, the warning shots fired by the MP for Awotu Senya East were unacceptable, premeditated, and put the lives of her constituents at risk. He called on President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to dismiss the Minister of Special Development Initiative. Security analyst Adam Bona also urged President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to terminate the contract of Hawa Kumsen. He said the minister has shown poor judgment and leadership, therefore she must be sacked. Also, president of policy think tank Imani Ghana, Franklin Kujo, in a Facebook post gave the president two options to either terminate the contract of the minister or lose his cordial relations.
Now, a woman has been arrested in connection with hacking of the software of one of the investor banks in the country, bringing the number of arrested persons to 7. The woman, identified as Aisha Konati, an Ivorian, was arrested following the interrogation of the 6 men who had been earlier arrested.
All the 7 arrested persons have so far been granted police inquiry bail and will be assisting the police in their investigations, after which they will be put before court. Their bail terms include a sum of 8 million Ghana cedis, 2 public servants and 1 other accessories. The cybercrime unit of the Ghana Police Service arrested 6 persons after they had allegedly attacked a bank and succeeded in moving more than 46 million Ghana cedis into the bank account of 8 people in different banks. Those arrested included a former banker and the owner of Adum Sika Savings and Loans Limited, Sam Aqua, and a web developer, James Taylor. The other were Hudu Abdul Mumuni, Emmanuel Adams, Moro Issa, and Agbenu Chrissy, who were arrested when they showed up to withdraw the money transferred into the account through the illegal wire transaction. 2 other suspects said to be part of a syndicate and identified only as Boatin Men's and Pussycats are, however, on the run, and the police have mounted an intensive search for the arrest. The cyber hackers allegedly logged into the banking software of the bank remotely and used the login credentials of some staff of the bank, some of whom were on leave, to affect the illegal transfers. The director of the cybercrime unit of the Criminal Investigation Department of the Ghana Police Service, Assistant Commissioner of Police, ACP Dr. Gustav Herbert Yankson, who confirmed the incident, said the unit received a complaint about the fraudulent wire transfer on July 2, 2020. After receiving the complaints, the banks to which the money had been transferred were alerted to prevent withdrawals, and that prevented the attacked bank from losing any funds.
A member of the National Democratic Congress communication team, Delali Sopo, has said it would take more than a decade for President Akufo-Addo to achieve what former President John Dramani Mahama has achieved in 4 years. He revealed this on Pan-African Television's Good Morning Africa show, hosted by Kwame Owusu-Danso.
Every single Ghanaian out there who want to be objective know that the current Electoral Commission is just an extension of the MPP election directorate, and that is a fact. But they are acting and inaction. They've proven that, listen, they are biased, what we call referees, going into the 2020 election. Their actions have actually demonstrated that they are not what they call an independent institution that takes decisions on their own. They are being remote controlled from the Flagstaff House and the MPP, what they call the headquarters. But Ghanaians are resolute. Ghanaians are firm going into the 2020 election. Ghanaians are determined and they are committed to effect the change come what they call 7 December 2020. And Kwame, this issue about the current ongoing registration exercise being characterized with violence, I want to use my constituency as an example. From the very day we started the electoral, what they call the process. See, we started with the municipal chief executive officer.
Yep.
Michael Esuma Mensah, going to a particular registration center, slapping NDC polling agent called Daniel Techi Mensah. We lodged a complaint to the Kasua Divisional Police Command. Nothing has been done about it.
For 4 hours.
More than 4 hours. As late as 11 o'clock p.m. Right? There was trending live Facebook feed with the military, full military, what we call it, at his premises. The police were there. To the extent, I see, I think one of the things the young people are not getting is that speak to some of these military men, speak to some of these police people, and they'll confess to you that, listen, they are even tired about the way they are being used. They will tell you that the things that are going on, some of the jobs and operations that they are being asked to go and execute, they are not happy about it. What kind of country is this? Is it because we made a mistake by electing President Nana Akufo-Addo to become the President of the Republic of Ghana? Is it a mistake that we made? That you told us that, listen, you've won an election with 1 million vote differences. What are you scared
They
about?
actually won the election with 1 million votes.
So if you have won election with 1 million, why are you scared about the same register? That notwithstanding, you claim that you've delivered your promises. You gave yourself a score that is impressive when you made the media man.
Yeah.
So what are you scared about it? Are you not proud of the free SSS that you claim you have implemented? Are you not proud about the one district, one factory? Are you not proud about the one village, one dam? How would we do this to our own citizens? What are we so much desperate for power? What is it that we are so much afraid of that we are unable to let go of power? When Ghanaians decided to effect the change in 2016, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama said once, he said posterity will be the best judge. I thought the posterity would take like 10 years. I think it will take like 20 years. But you see, just less than 4 years. Ghanaians have come to realize that, listen, indeed when you compare President John Dramani Mahama, his visible and verifiable achievement as he delivered during his era, it will take President Nana Addo more than 100 years to match President John Dramani Mahama.
Hey.
Yes, that's a statement of fact.
You're still watching Pan-African News Radio on Pan-African Television. We're coming to you from our studios in Abelenki 14 Swine Hospital. We're going for a short break. We'll be back with some more stories. Don't go anywhere.
Breakfast a day. Every day. Every day.
Nestle. Good food, good life.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Breakfast a day. Every day.
Nestle. Good food, good life.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Welcome back from that break. Now let's go to the camp of the LPG, where the Liberal Party of Ghana has acclaimed Margaret Obrian Safo as the vice presidential candidate for the 2020 general election at the Marriott Hotel in Accra.
LPG, formerly called the Independent People's Party, was formed in February 2012 and received certification by the Electoral Commission in May 2017, having changed its name from IPP in 2016 to Liberal Party of Ghana. Addressing the occasion, presidential candidate of the party, Kofi Percival Akpaloo, asked Ghanaians to have confidence in the party. He also promised Ghanaians on what his party will do when elected in the upcoming elections.
In running a government that will prioritizes and incentivizes investment in education, healthcare, agriculture, information technology, research and development. We have to put money into research and development. We will do that. We will put in place the needed resources, policies and incentives that will bring about the development of our educational system from primary, secondary to tertiary education, from our teacher training colleges to upgrading of services, reflecting the kind of education needed today. We will promote education aided by technological tools and skills. It's our promise. If you look at our logo is computer, a desktop computer. We are saying that we are putting people's life first through technology. Everything's about people, but we support it with technology. Our emphasis is on technology and it's on people. Ghana is you. Ghana is not the land. Ghana is the people within the land. That's what we're talking about. The people of the land. That's what we're talking about. And there's me and you. Everything is about you. Everything is about your future. Everything is about your children's future.
Madame Margaret Albrain Safo, in her acceptance speech, she promised to support the flag bearer in diverse ways to help win power.
Are limited, unlike the MPP and NDC, but our determination, commitment, and judicious use of available resources will push us to victory. Let us focus on the light at the end of the tunnel, and we will certainly reach it. We should encourage the despondent floaters floating voters to register in their numbers, because the Liberal Party of Ghana needs their votes.
Greater Accra Regional Youth Organizer of the party, Chief R.K. Atipo, said the party's running mate was all qualities and competence to hold the vice presidential office.
She has, I don't know how to put it, women caucus in Africa, she is part of it. Women empowerment, to make women so strong in a small community, she is part of it.
Now away from Ghana, let's go to Sudan, where former Sudanese President Omar al-Bashir has been summoned to appear before a court over charges of an alleged coup d'etat he staged over 30 years ago. The latest charge follows investigations by the State Prosecutor's Office.
Reports say he is appearing on Wednesday, July 22nd before a court in Khartoum, and he will be tried by a special jury composed of 3 judges. He faces a death penalty or life imprisonment for his role in the coup that brought him to power 3 decades ago, when he toppled the democratically elected government of Prime Minister Sadek al-Mahdi. In June 1989, Army Brigadier Bashir seizes power in a coup backed by Islamist ideologue Hassan al-Turabi. Economic protests 30 years later morphed into an anti-government movement that toppled him in April 2019. The former head of state, who is expected to appear alongside 16 other defendants, had already been sentenced to 2 years of illegal possession of foreign currency. He is also the subject of a warrant issued by the International Criminal Court for war crimes, crimes against humanity and genocide in Darfur.
Now, hundreds of Catholics in the Democratic Republic of Congo's capital, Kinshasa, took to the streets to demonstrate against the appointment of Ronsard Molanda as chairman of the Independent National Election Commission. They accused him of manipulating and rigging during the country's last general elections.
Organizer of the demonstration, Gertrude Ikombi, said the protest was in demand of an independent CENI that would not be politicized. She further stressed that in preventing a similar chaos that was experienced in 2018, they want a credible CENI. Harvest Diakese, a key member of the protest movement, added that there were young people who were shot and killed in front of churches during the last elections. She indicated that such incidences called for the parties to register their displeasure in order to avoid recurrence. The march is the 3rd protest organized within 10 days in the Congolese capital. The peaceful march was accorded police protection, unlike the July 9 protest, which claimed the lives of at least 5 protesters.
Now let's do some health story. The herb known as bitter leaf is a strip of small tree that can reach 23 feet in height when fully grown. Bitter leaf has a gray or brown colored bark which has a rough texture and is flaked. This can be found in Nigeria, Ghana, and some other African countries.
Bitter leaf has numerous medicinal values and benefits to human health and lifestyle. Bitter leaf also helps to cleanse vital organs of the body such as the liver and the kidney. Bitter leaf can be used to treat abdominal difficulties such as diarrhea, stomach upset, and gastrointestinal tract diseases like dysentery and other related issues. To get the best out of your bitter leaf, Get a handful of fresh bitter leaves, wash it well with a little quantity of salt and water. Squeeze to extract the juice, then take a glass of it twice a day to flush out your stomach. Also, vitamin C is a strong antioxidant mineral found in bitter leaf that plays a vital role in the body, which is the maintenance of bones and teeth. It also contains a trace of vitamin K, which helps the body maintain healthy bones and prevents the weakening of bone tissues, also known as osteoporosis. Bitter leaf is very effective in chemical synthesis known as metabolism because it contains the mineral that plays the key role. Another nutrient in bitter leaf, which is vitamin E, serves as an antioxidant that fights against free radicals which have harmful effects on the body system. Bitter leaf also contains antibacterial compound known as sesquiterpenoids that give the property of bitter taste. Bitter leaves are not only used for medicinal.
2020 presidential candidate for the Liberal Party of Ghana, Percival Kofi Appiah, has disclosed that he will use internally generated funds to develop the country when given the opportunity in the upcoming general elections. According to him, Ghana has enough resources for development, hence no need to contract loans from international institutions such as the IMF and World Bank for development. He further promised to create over 1 million jobs for Ghanaians.
The future of our great country looks so promising, and this is why my campaign slogan is TAP, a better tomorrow, a new plan for jobs and wealth creation. If you are in Ghana and you are looking for a job and you are a voter, you have no option than to vote for Kofi Appiah for 2020. Because we have the plan, we have the key to unlock the opportunities. We are going to create jobs. And I mean jobs. This is not rhetoric. We mean business because we know what to do to create the jobs. I'll put us in. We will create the money. As a chartered certified accountant, I believe that we have what we call sovereign money. And we will use sovereign money to transform our economy. We are not going to allow the IMF to bully us. We are not going to allow the international community to continue bullying us. We are going to do things differently. If you only give me your support, because together we can transform this country. Ghana has a population of 30 million people. Our GDP is a mere $67 billion with a GDP per capita of $2,233. Now, it's an insult. The whole country, our GDP is only $67 billion.
Now away from that, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta will tomorrow, Thursday, 23rd July 2020, present the 2020 Media Budget Review in Parliament. The budget is expected to focus on roadmaps and strategies to generate revenue for the country following the outbreak of the deadly coronavirus. We'll be joined in the studio by Dr. Wolanyo Mensah, a lecturer with Wisconsin University College International. He's also an economist. Doc, good afternoon and welcome to Pan-African News.
Good afternoon and good afternoon to fellow Ghanaians.
Well, now let's quickly delve into, the subject of discussion on the news this afternoon. What are your expectations with regards to tomorrow's media budget review that's going to be presented by the Finance Minister?
Thank you very much. I think by and large we are not living in normal times, and for that matter, the COVID-19 has been considered as a global disaster. And for that matter, we wanted the budget review to focus on key areas that are more relevant to the socio-economic development of the country.
What are some of the areas
I think that the Finance Minister should concentrate much more on these thematic areas. Industrialization should be a key. We're talking about agribusinesses, we're talking about pharmaceutical industry, talking about robust educational system. We're talking about fighting environmental degradation, having a sound financial and a banking sector, and also having a very solid, what I describe as a social safety net, comprising the very good health insurance scheme, that of a pensions and a SNIT system. And I think that will give some Ghanaians some form of relief and some form of comfortability as we go.
Now let's look at the industrialization, as you mentioned earlier. They have touted some of the achievements under that, especially the one district, one factory thing you're talking about. People are asking where those factories are, of course, located. Are you expecting that the finance minister will tell the good people of Ghana the number of factories they have built and those that are in operation so far?
Indeed, perhaps that must be key, and going beyond that, industrialization does not necessarily mean that putting up huge factories, but also empowering the local entrepreneurs, petty traders and petty local engineers to be able to upgrade their businesses, skills and abilities in order to produce, to be more productive in society. So beside the one district, one factory, government should also have a policy and program of supporting the local technologies, like what we've seen gradually, what Apostle Safo Kantaga has done. We have a lot more Ghanaians like that in the system, which we think, if given the necessary information, the necessary relevant resources, they should be able to turn around, create more jobs, be able to employ more people. Thereby, we are government being able to rake in more revenue and have resources for sustainable development, especially embarking on infrastructure and looking at the effects of the virus on the economy. You realize that we can't do away with investing into infrastructure development in terms of ICT. So we realize that people are now working at home. So if really we want to make inroads into sustainable development, then we need to expand our IT infrastructure. So government should be able to involve the telcos and see the way forward, because really internet plays a key role in the globalization and development. So the government is not able to handle the internet issues very well. At the end of the day, it affects productivity. Now, once productivity has declined, it affects the total output of the country.
So now let's still under industrialization and all of that. He talked about Apostle Kwadwo Safo's, work he's doing and all of that.
Exactly.
We've recently seen VW assembling cars and all of that in the country. People are of the view that this will go a long way to collapse businesses like that of Apostle Kwadwo Safo. Are you looking forward for the finance minister addressing, some of those issues and all of that? And how they intend to,
perhaps that is an opinion, but there is a little truth in every humor. But then on a more professional note, you realize that we are living in the era of globalization and development. And I think competition is key. Competition is part of the game, it's part of the industry players. So if you have a competitive market, it enables you to be able to produce better and have a quality
product. You can engage in
product.
competition when you have an enabling environment for your business to thrive. Apostle Kwadwo Safo is an individual who is trying to, bring up some of these innovations and make sure that he is able to also put himself on the map and all of that. Unfortunately, we've not seen much from government supporting him and all of that. How is he able to engage in that?
I think last year or a few months ago, government has been able to extend some form of incentives to them, as I know that most of the raw materials that are being imported for their production and manufacturing purposes are tax-free. And I think that is what every noble government should be desired to do. But going beyond that, I think that calls for specialization. You can't just enter into market without having a clear focus. So we should be able to go this way and call the various interested parties on a table for a roundtable discussion so that if is it the kind of Uber cars, the less fuel consumption cars that we want him to produce, so that he will be able to attract certain players in the market. So if you are just going to produce without have a specification, at the end of the day, you are not going to compete favorably. So I think that even though Apostle Safo is doing quite well, I think that looking at the era of competition and be able, competition tries to eliminate monopoly because monopolistic markets can give you inferior products.
Very true.
So when there is competition, I think the quality of produce that we get also is something that we can write home about. So we should be able to design a system in which those who are interested in entering the manufacturing and industrial sector should be able to have a clear identity, a clear vision as to what they really want to produce and whether those markets are readily available for consumption. So you can't just produce, you need to have already market. So you need to identify your target market. So once that you are able to do that, you realize that Ghanaians, most of the Ghanaians, you are average earners. So if you are going to produce four-wheel drives, at the end of the day, you are likely not to get markets for those cars. So if you concentrate in producing cars that average Ghanaian needs, like Uber cars and those that we use for taxis, at the end of the day, I think that is going to make an inroads in the market.
Very well. Now let's look at infrastructure. The government promised that this year is a year of roads. I don't know your opinion on that, but we've not seen much of roads actually constructed and all of that. Are you expecting that the finance minister, in a way, chip in something of that sort?
Yeah, I think that the year of roads must be a reality because roads infrastructure play a key role in socio-economic development. Because when you even look at the issues of post-harvest losses that our farmers experience in the rural areas, you realize as a result of lack of good roads, because if the roads are not there, they are not fixed properly. At the end of the day, they don't have accessibility to good markets. So invariably it affects their productivity and farming activities. So if really we want to expand the agri sector to employ more, to encourage the rural youths to go into agriculture and not to see it as a form of punishment, then really we need to make agriculture attractive. And one way to make agri attractive is to have good access roads to these rural areas. And that will also prevent rural migration, whereby rural folks migrate to the urban centers seeking for white-collar jobs, which most of the times are non-existent. So you realize that you use one approach to solve our 3, 4, or 5 problems. So roads construction must be key on the government agenda, but I think that the virus, as it started around February, March, has really affected things as far as road infrastructure is concerned. But over the last 2 months, I've seen a lot more initiatives as far as road is concerned. But infrastructure goes beyond only roads.
That's true.
We are looking at the landing beaches around the coastal areas. We are also looking at expanding our harbors. We are also looking at having new harbors. We are looking at the railway development because if really we want to expand and promote our natural resources, then we must take the railways very serious, and I think that that is the way for us to go.
But finally, let's look at the agribusiness and the pharmaceuticals. President urged some of the pharmaceutical companies to come up with, COVID-19 medicine. When he invited them earlier, he charged them to do so. Looking at the agricultural sector, we are told some time past that the planting for food and jobs yielded enough to an extent that we had a lot on the market. And so why you would want the minister to touch on some of these areas, what exactly are you looking out for from the minister?
If really we want to turn the economy around, 50% of our economy rallies on the agri sector. And if we are going beyond aid, meaning that we need to industrialize the country, even industrialization meaning that we need to give a proactive attention to the agri sector, simply because the agri sector produces the raw materials. So if you are going to have industries, where are we getting the raw materials from? It's still from the agri sector. So if agri sector is weak, then meaning that trying to champion industrialization will be a hoax, and it will not be a reality. So I think that if really we want to take this industrialization serious, Ghana beyond aid, Africa beyond aid, then we really need to empower and go into agri and add value. The problem we have is that it's lack of value addition. So if we continue just exporting our raw materials in its raw states, at the end of the day, we are denying ourselves the due expansion of the local economy, because if we are not adding value, at the end of the day, then the economy will not be developed, because industrialization talks about value addition. So if we really want to expand the economy, create more jobs, rake in more revenue, use those revenues again for infrastructure development, then we need to add value to the farm produce. Some, like for instance, if Ghana is the second leading producer of cocoa, so at the end of the day, the foreign buyers, we can go into some kind of memorandum of understanding with them, so that even 50% of cocoa beans that are being exported outside can be processed right here. Once that is done, you realize that you have expanded the economy. We are going to create more jobs, more people, more youths will be employed. Once they are employed, they also pay taxes. Government gets more revenue from that. But if government allows the cartels in the system to invade the system, at the end of the day, we'll be laughing at the wrong side of our mouths.
I think that I've been prompted that our time is up. But finally, looking at the impact, the negative impact COVID-19 has had on the economy and on individuals in this country, would you expect that government announce some package for businesses and then, of course, I mean, the good people of Ghana?
Yeah, I think so. I think this calls for special attention, because when you look at the socioeconomic effects of the virus on our economy, you realize that it affects businesses so much to the extent that petty traders, small and medium scale enterprises have somehow collapsed, and some have come to a halt. So we needed to cushion them a bit, and government really needs to develop a model, have some sort of packages to support businesses, if not Ghanaians in general, because it is the same Ghanaians that are running these businesses. So if somebody have a pure water company that have come to a halt, and having a small, reasonable fund to support such business, you realize that you will now be able to employ at least 10 staffs that will be working for him. So it's over to the government to put pragmatic measures and policies in place, and that will really turn the economy around.
Well, look, thank you so much for coming. We are so grateful for your time. We would love to have you tomorrow for an extensive discussion on this particular issue. We've been speaking to Dr. Wolanyo Mensah, lecturer at Wisconsin University College International. He is also an economist. Up next is international news. Welcome back. Now let's do some international stories. The pro-market parties in the Slovenian parliament have purposefully postponed the Slovenian left levy cash proposal calling to ensure a mandatory holiday on Sunday for workers in private shops across the country. On July 16, the pro-market parties in the National Assembly have decided to postpone the final vote on levy cash pro-worker bill, which was expected to be approved on Thursday with bipartisan support.
Meanwhile, an amendment put forth by the Modern Centrist Party was supported by the right-wing incumbent Slovenian Democratic Party, opposition party SAB, etc., to hire students and retirees to work in shops on Sundays has been approved in the National Assembly on Thursday. The progressive sections in the country perceive the postponement of the final vote on levy cash bill to autumn as a purposeful ploy by pro-business parties in the National Assembly to delay it. The amendments to the bill made on the same day contradicts the very essence of Levica's bill to provide a holiday for shop workers on Sundays. With the initiative, Levica has insisted on a fair solution for workers, which stipulates that workers should be free on Sundays, but entrepreneurs can work alone if they want to have shops open on Sundays. And, of course, with the basic purpose of law to close shops on Sundays and for 30,000 workers in the store to finally get Sunday as a day off and thus the right to rest. Following the postponement of the vote on Thursday, Levica has stated that today's maneuver of SDS, SMC and SAB is just another sad chapter in a 17-year story of preventing the realization of the referendum will of the people and the wishes of employees to trade. We will not give up in the lefts. With only a full vote missing, we will work with the unions to build a coalition by the autumn that will be able to take the final step that will finally give workers a day off for them and their families. Levica is a left-wing eco-socialist political party established in Slovenia in 2017. Levica got 8 members in the current 90-seated National Assembly, including its coordinator Luka Mesek. Levica has submitted the bill in May 2020 with the backing of trade union of shop assistants following the closure of shops on Sundays insisted by the government since mid-March as part of the anti-COVID-19 measures.
Well, credit to People's Dispatch for the international story. Up next is sports. Don't go anywhere.